your eyes for a moment. Right now, your brain is processing billions of bits of information per second, but your conscious mind is only aware of a tiny fraction, the rest. That is your subconscious. It is the operating system that runs your life. People wake up and immediately reach for their phone, check their emails, and start reacting to the world. By doing this, you are reaffirming your past. You are letting your environment control your internal state. If you want to change your life, you have to go beyond the analytical mind, the barrier between the conscious and the subconscious, and enter the operating system where those unwanted habits and programs reside. The greatest habit you can ever break is the habit of being yourself. You step into that vacuum of the unknown. You aren't losing yourself. You are finally finding the version of you that was always meant to exist. To truly understand the process of transformation, you must first confront the sobering reality that most of us are living in a biological loop of the past. By the time we reach our mid-30s, 95% of who we are is a programmed set of behaviors, emotional reactions, unconscious habits, even belief systems that function like a computer program. We think we are making conscious choices, but we are actually being driven by a subconscious architecture that was built through repetition and emotional intensity over decades. It is what it means to be the whole self. If you want to create a new reality, you must fundamentally break the habit of being yourself. This requires more than just a passing interest in change. It requires a deep, visceral awareness of the personality that has been running the show. Every morning when you wake up, your brain begins to scan the environment to find the person you think you are. You look at the person next to you. You think about your problems. You recall your bank account balance, and you remember the places you have to go. In that moment, your brain is firing in the exact same sequences and patterns as it did yesterday, because you are thinking the same thoughts. Those thoughts lead to the same choices, which lead to the same behaviors, which create the same experiences, which ultimately produce the same emotions. Those emotions then drive your thoughts again. This is a closed loop. Your biology, your neurological wiring, your neurochemistry, even your genetic expression is reflecting your past. To break this habit, you have to become greater than your environment. You have to become greater than the conditions in your life that keep you tethered to a familiar identity. When you sit down to meditate and you begin to close your eyes, you are performing a radical act of rebellion against the old self. You are intentionally cutting off the sensory input from the external world that reminds you of who you used to be. The moment you start to observe your thoughts, instead of simply being them, you are no longer the program. You are the consciousness observing the program. This is the first step toward liberation. Most people are so merged with a personality that they cannot see it. They think their thoughts are the absolute truth. But once you begin to notice that you are thinking a thought of lack, or a thought of resentment, or a thought of unworthiness, you create a gap. In that gap lies your power. You are beginning to disentangle your energy from the predictable timeline of your past. This process is not always comfortable. In fact, it is often quite painful because as you stop the old thoughts and behaviors, the body begins to signal the brain that it is losing its familiar chemical fix. The body has been conditioned to be the mind. It has been used to a daily dose of stress, cortisol, and adrenaline. When you decide to change, the body sends signals to the brain saying, why are we not complaining? Why are we not feeling guilty? Why are we not rushing? It wants to return to the known, even if the known is miserable, because at least the known is safe. This is the point where most people fail. They mistake this discomfort for something being wrong, when in fact it is the exact moment that something is going right. You are crossing the river of change. To break the habit of being yourself, stay in that discomfort and refuse to return to the old chemical state. You must become the master internal landscape, proving to yourself that you are the one in control, not the conditioned responses of your history. How you begin to prune away the old neurological connections and make room for a new mind to emerge. To truly enter the realm of the subconscious and begin the work of rewriting your destiny, you must master the art of becoming greater than your environment, your body, and time itself. Most people are constantly being defined by the world outside of them. They are reacting to the people they know, the problems they face, and the places they must be at a specific hour. Their attention is fragmented across 1,000 different objects and subjects in their physical reality. And because where you place your attention is where you place your energy, they are effectively bleeding their power away into the external world. To change your life, you must withdraw your energy from that familiar reality. You have to go beyond the big three: the body, the environment, and time, an inner state of pure consciousness. This is the transition from being a somebody with a name, a face, a history, to becoming a nobody in no time. When you close your eyes and disconnect from your outer world, you begin to silence the sensory input that keeps the brain's analytical mind in a state of high beta arousal. In our normal waking state, the analytical mind acts as a barrier or a gatekeeper between the conscious mind and the subconscious. If you are constantly thinking about your do list or the argument you had yesterday, you are stuck in that analytical barrier. Cannot reach the operating system where the real change happens. Transcending time means moving into the generous present moment. This is a void where the past and the future no longer exist. People spend their lives oscillating between the memory of the past and the anticipation of the future, both of which are based on known experiences. But in the present moment, all possibilities exist in the quantum field. When you can linger in that space of nothingness, you are no longer defined by your past scars or your future anxieties. You are simply an awareness, and it is from this state of total presence that you can begin to command a new reality. Process requires a level of focus that goes beyond anything we are taught in our daily lives. You must train your brain to move from a narrow focus on things to an open focus on space and frequency. When you sense the space that your body occupies in space, space that the room occupies in space, your brain waves begin to slow down and synchronize. You move from the cluttered, frantic frequencies of survival into the orderly, coherent frequencies of alpha and theta. In these deeper states, so the subconscious mind swings wide open. This is the sweet spot of meditation. Here, you are no longer a victim of your circumstances because you have transcended them. You are no longer a slave to the clock because you have stepped into the eternal now. If you can sit in that emptiness long enough, the body begins to believe it is no longer in its familiar environment. It starts to lose its orientation to the physical world, and that is exactly when the subconscious becomes suggestive to new information. Beauty of this state is that when you are truly in the present moment, the body doesn't know the difference between what is happening out there in the world and what is happening in the world of your imagination. By transcending the environment, you stop being a reflection of your surroundings and start becoming an architect of your internal state. You are essentially telling the brain and body that the external world no longer has power over you. You are becoming a creator rather than a reactor. Transcendence is not a passive act. It is a profound internal shift where you realize that you are the one who determines your frequency. When you are no longer defined by the objects, people, and places in your life, you are finally free to reinvent yourself from a place of pure potential. You are standing at the threshold of the unknown, and it is only in the unknown that something new can ever happen. By staying in that void, you are preparing the canvas of your mind for a completely new signature, one that is not tied to the limitations of the person you were just 5 minutes ago. To truly manifest a change in your life, you must understand that a thought alone is not enough to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Most people sit in meditation and try to think their way into a new life. Their body is still harboring the same old chemical patterns of the past. If you have a thought of wealth, but your body is feeling the emotion of lack, then you are essentially sending a mixed signal to the quantum field. You are telling the universe that you want one thing while your physical being is broadcasting the exact opposite frequency. To rewrite the subconscious, you must master the art of combining a clear intention with an elevated emotion. This is the marriage of the mind and the heart. The intention is the electrical charge you send out into the field, and the emotion is the magnetic charge that draws the experience back to you. When you align these two, you become a powerful magnet for your new destiny. A clear intention means getting very specific about what you want to create. It is the vision of your future self, the detailed picture of your health, your abundance, or your freedom. That vision remains a mere intellectual exercise until you breathe life into it with an elevated emotion. An elevated emotion is a feeling that rises above the standard survival states of anger, fear, or frustration. It is the feeling of gratitude, feeling of joy, the feeling of awe, or the feeling of wholeness. The challenge and the power lies in your ability to feel that emotion before the physical event has occurred. Most people wait for their health to improve before they feel gratitude, or they wait for a wealth to arrive before they feel abundance. That's a cause and effect model of reality. You are waiting for something outside of you to change how you feel inside of you. But in the quantum model, you must create the internal feeling first, then causes the external change. When you embrace an elevated emotion in your meditation, you are essentially giving your body a chemical sampling of the future. The subconscious mind and the body do not know the difference between an actual experience and a thought that is emotionally charged. If you can sit in that space and feel the gratitude of being healed while your eyes are still closed, your body begins to believe it is in that new reality in the present moment. You are signaling new genes in new ways and changing your biology to match your future. Gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership, emotional signature that the event has already happened. When you are grateful, you are in a state where your body is convinced it has already received the blessing. Bypasses the analytical mind entirely and goes straight into the operating system of the subconscious, where it begins to rewrite the scripts of your life based on this new high frequency data. Process requires you to move beyond the limitations of your senses. Your senses will tell you that you are still in the same room, in the same body, with the same problems. But if you can hold that elevated emotion of joy or love long enough, you start to broadcast a new electromagnetic signature. You are no longer living in the past present, you are living in the future present. You are training your heart and brain to work together in coherence. When the heart is coherent, it sends a powerful signal to the brain, telling it that it is safe to create, to dream, and to change. This alignment is what creates a state of flow where the things you desire start to find you. You don't have to go out and get them. They are drawn to you because you have changed your energy. By choosing to feel empowered rather than victimized, and by choosing to feel abundant rather than limited, you are performing a biological upgrade that transcends the physical laws of time and space. You are becoming the creator of your life, moving from a state of being a victim of your circumstances to becoming the master of your soul. When you begin to understand that you are the architect of your own biology, you realize that the most profound pharmacy in the universe exists right within your own brain and body. For most of our lives, we have been told that we are victims of our genetics, that we are born with a certain deck of cards and we must simply play them out until the end. This is a scientific myth that keeps people disempowered. The emerging field of epigenetics shows us that your genes are not your destiny. Your genes are a library of possibilities, and it is your internal state that decides which books are taken off the shelves. Every time you change your internal chemical state through meditation, you are literally signaling new genes in new ways. You are giving instructions to your cells to manufacture different proteins to strengthen the immune system and to down regulate the genes for disease while up regulating the genes for health and longevity. Your body is a reflection of your mind. Changing the mind, you are physically remodeling the structure of your physical existence. Every thought you think and every emotion you feel produces a chemical signal that travels to your cells. If you spend your day in a state of chronic stress, living in the hormones of survival, you are constantly signaling the genes for inflammation and breakdown. You are essentially telling your body that it is being chased by a predator. Body responds by shifting all its energy towards survival and away from long-term repair. But when you sit in the silence of meditation and begin to cultivate a state of peace, wholeness, and heart coherence, you change the message. You begin to release a different set of chemicals, neuropeptides and neurotransmitters that act as messengers to your DNA. This is a biological upgrade. You are no longer just a person sitting on a chair. You are a biological laboratory, are the head scientist. You are choosing to silence the old genetic expressions of your ancestors and your past experiences, and you are calling forth a new genetic expression that matches the person you are becoming. The signaling process is incredibly sensitive to the frequency of your emotions. When you experience the feeling of awe or the profound sense of gratitude, your brain releases chemicals like oxytocin and dopamine, have a direct effect on the health of your cells. You are essentially washing your cells in a bath of healing chemistry. This is how people experience miraculous healings. It isn't magic. The natural result of changing the internal environment so drastically that the old disease can no longer find a home there. The subconscious mind, which controls all the autonomic functions of the body, your digestion, your heart rate, your immune response, is always listening. It takes its cues from the way you feel. If you feel like a victim, it prepares the body for defeat. If you feel like a creator, it prepares the body for growth and expansion. By signaling these new genes, you are essentially rewriting the blueprint of your physical form from the inside out. To make this change permanent, you must be consistent in your practice. You cannot signal a new gene once and expect a lifetime of health. You have to rehearse this new state of being until it becomes your new baseline. You are pruning the old neurological pathways that were wired for stress and fear, and you are sprouting new connections that are wired for vitality and joy. Neuroplasticity in action. But it goes deeper than the brain. It goes into the very marrow of your bones. When you successfully signal a new gene, you are essentially telling your body that the future you have been imagining is already happening. You are collapsing the distance between your current physical state and your future potential. You are proving to yourself that you are not a static entity, but a dynamic, evolving consciousness that has the power to influence the very building blocks of life. Every time you choose an elevated state over a survival state, you are participating in the evolution of your own biology. You are moving from a state of being biologically used, by your path to a state where you are using your biology to manifest a new and vibrant destiny. To truly master the subconscious, you must confront the reality that for most of your life, your body has the mind. This is a profound physiological fact that dictates the quality of your existence. When you have an experience that has an emotional charge, the brain takes a snapshot of that moment, and the body stores that emotion as a chemical memory. If you repeat that experience or simply keep recalling the memory, the body begins to live in the past. It becomes so accustomed to the chemical signature of guilt, unworthiness, or resentment that it actually craves those states just to feel alive. Eventually, the body becomes the master and the conscious mind becomes the servant. You may consciously want to be happy or successful, but the body is still signaling for the old familiar feelings of suffering. To rewrite the subconscious mind, break this body-mind connection and re-establish the conscious mind as the rightful sovereign of your internal kingdom. When you sit down to change, the body will immediately begin to protest. This is the moment of truth in any transformation. The body has been conditioned to a certain level of stimulation, and when you cut off that stimulation by sitting still in meditation, it starts to send signals to the brain. It will tell you that you are tired, that you have too much to do, you have a pain in your back. It will try to lure you back into the known world of your old personality. Every time you notice your body trying to take control and you gently bring it back into the present moment, you are telling the body that it is no longer the mind. You are training the animal. This is an act of will that goes beyond intellectual understanding. It is a biological battle. People give up at this stage because they believe their body's complaints are the truth, but they are actually just the screams of a dying ego and a conditioned biological program. As you persist in this practice, essentially deconditioning the body from the past, you are breaking the chemical bonds that have kept you tethered to your old identity. When the body finally surrenders to the present moment, a tremendous amount of energy is released. All the energy that was once used to maintain the old programs of fear, anger, or sadness is now available for you to create a new future. You begin to feel a sense of lightness and freedom because you are no longer carrying the emotional weight of your history. This is when the subconscious mind becomes truly suggestible. You have bypassed the analytical gatekeeper and silenced the body's demands. In this state of coherence, you can begin to plant the seeds of new beliefs and new ways of being. You are no longer fighting against yourself. You are finally working in harmony with your deeper consciousness. Process of overcoming the body mind connection requires you to become more aware of your unconscious states than you are of anything in your external environment. You have to observe the way you sit, the way you breathe, the way you react to your own thoughts. By becoming a conscious observer of your physical self, you stop being a victim of your biology. You realize that you are the awareness that inhabits the body, not the body itself. Shift in perspective is what allows you to start making new choices. When you are the master of your body, you can command it to feel empowered even when things are difficult. You can command it to feel healthy even when it is tired. You are reclaiming your power from the subconscious programs that have been running your life. This is the ultimate freedom, the ability to direct your own internal state, regardless of what is happening in the world around you. By setting the body down into the stillness of the now, you are opening the door to a new reality where you are no longer defined by what has happened to you, but by what you are choosing to create. The power of a mind to reshape reality lies in its ability to mentally rehearse a new way of being until the brain and body no longer distinguish between the internal thought and the external event. Most people use the power of mental rehearsal in a destructive way. They constantly visualize their worst case scenarios, rehearsing their fears, their anxieties, and their failures. When you do this, you are effectively pre-programming your nervous system to respond to a future that hasn't happened yet, as if it were already a reality. To rewrite the subconscious, take this same mechanism and use it with intention to install the neurological hardware of your new life. If you can sit in the stillness of your meditation and begin to mentally rehearse who you're going to be when you open your eyes, how you will walk, you will breathe, how you will speak, and how you will handle the challenges of your day, you begin to install new circuits in your brain. Through the principle of neuroplasticity, the brain is constantly changing based on your attention and your intentions. When you are truly focused and you begin to imagine a new behavior or a new quality of your personality, you are firing and wiring new sequences. If you do this repeatedly with enough emotional intensity, brain starts to look like the experience has already happened. You are literally moving from a state of memory to a state of vision. In this state, the brain is no longer a record of the past. It becomes a map to the future. Is why mental rehearsal is such a vital tool for transformation. You are not just wishing for change, you are physically and neurologically preparing the hardware so that when you step back into your life, the software of your new behavior runs automatically. You don't have to try to be patient or try to be confident. You simply are those things because you have built the neural architecture to support that state of being. As you rehearse this new reality, you must involve all of your senses. You have to see the version of yourself that is already whole, already successful, and already free. But you must also feel the weight of your body in that new state. You must hear the words you will say to others and feel the internal shift that occurs when you act from a place of power rather than a place of lack. The subconscious mind is deeply influenced by vivid imagery and the emotional frequency attached to it. You combine the clear intention of your rehearsal with the elevated emotion of your future, you are essentially creating a new electromagnetic signature. You are telling the body that the future is now. The more you can lose yourself in this rehearsal, the more the brain begins to accept it as the dominant reality. You are pruning away the old, cluttered pathways of the old self and building a vibrant, streamlined network that reflects your highest potential. Practice is what allows you to maintain your new state of being even when the environment tries to pull you back into your old habits. If you have rehearsed your response to a stressful situation 100 times in your mind, feeling calm and centered each time, when that situation arises in the physical world, your body will naturally gravitate toward the new program. You have overcome the reflex of the past. You are no longer reacting. You are creating. You are standing in a reality that you have already built within yourself. This is the secret to true mastery, the ability to make your internal thoughts more real than the external world. When your internal environment is more stable and more powerful than your external environment, you have successfully rewritten the subconscious, moved into a state of total alignment where your mind and body are working together to manifest a life that is no longer a repetition of yesterday, but a glorious expression of your own creative will. By rehearsing the new reality every single day, you ensure that you are never returning to the person you were, but are constantly evolving into the person you are destined to become. To finalize the transformation of the subconscious mind, anchor yourself in the most powerful state of being available to a human consciousness, which is the state of gratitude. In the traditional way of living, we have been conditioned to feel gratitude only after something favorable has happened in our external world. We wait for the healing to occur to feel thankful. We wait for the wealth to arrive to feel abundant, or we wait for the new relationship to appear to feel loved. This is a linear, three-dimensional way of functioning where we are forever waiting for a cause to produce an effect. However, you are waiting for something outside of you to change how you feel inside of you. You are still a victim of your environment. To truly rewrite the subconscious and command the quantum field, you must move into the state of gratitude before the event occurs. Gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. In the language of the subconscious, the feeling of gratitude is the signal that an event has already taken place. When you embody this emotion, you are no longer asking for a change, declaring that the change is already your reality. Living in a state of gratitude means that you have moved your internal state beyond the reach of your physical senses. Your eyes might tell you that your bank account is the same, or your body might tell you that the pain is still there. But if you can hold the frequency of thankfulness, you are overriding that sensory data with a higher truth. You are telling your nervous system and every cell in your body that the future you have been dreaming of is happening right now. This creates a powerful bridge between the visible and the invisible. When the heart is filled with gratitude, it beats in a coherent, rhythmic pattern that sends a signal of safety and abundance to the brain. This coherence allows the nervous system to move out of the survival-based sympathetic mode and into the parasympathetic mode of repair, growth, and creation. In this state, walls of the analytical mind drop away, and you have direct access to the subconscious operating system where you can lock in your new identity. When you practice gratitude during your meditation, you are essentially performing a high-level calibration of your energy. You are tuning your internal frequency to match the frequency of the potential you have selected from the quantum field. Since the quantum field responds to who we are being rather than what we are wanting, the state of gratitude is the most efficient way to attract a new life. If you want a new future, you cannot go there while carrying the emotional baggage of the past. Gratitude acts as a solvent for the old programs of lack, unworthiness, and then resentment. It is impossible to feel grateful and to feel like a victim at the same time. These two frequencies cannot occupy the same space. Therefore, by choosing gratitude, you are making a conscious decision to vacate the old self and move into the new self. You are signaling to the universe that you are ready to receive because emotionally you have already received. This state of gratitude must become more than just a momentary feeling during meditation. It must become your default way of being. As you walk through your day, if you can maintain that sense of thankfulness, you remain connected to the new reality you have created. You start to see the world through a different lens. You begin to notice opportunities that were previously invisible to you because your brain is now wired to look for things that match your internal state. You are no longer living in a state of trying or hoping, which are both states of lack. Instead, you are living in a state of knowing. This is the moment where the subconscious mind and the conscious mind become one. No longer a conflict between what you want and what you believe. You have reached a level of internal wholeness where you no longer need the external world to provide you with joy, and ironically, that is exactly when the external world begins to reflect your internal abundance in ways you could never have predicted. You become a living example of the power of the mind, a pioneer of a new consciousness who understands that the greatest gift you can give yourself is the feeling of being complete even before the world catches up to your vision. The moment you step out of your meditation, the real work begins. You cannot spend an hour in the generous present moment, rehearsing a new life and signaling new genes, only to open your eyes and return to the same reactive person you were before you sat down. If you get up and start complaining about the traffic, stressing over your emails, or judging your coworkers, you have just returned to the old frequency. You have allowed your environment to pull you back into the past. The true test of your transformation is your ability to maintain that state of modified consciousness throughout the day, regardless of the conditions in your outer world. You must walk as that new person, talk as that new person until it becomes second nature. You are essentially a scientist performing an experiment on yourself. Every time you catch yourself slipping into an old habit and you stop, breathe, and return to the state of gratitude and wholeness, you are winning the battle for your soul. You are proving that you are no longer a victim of your biology or your history, but a creator who is consciously directing their energy. As you consistently align your thoughts and your feelings, gap between your current reality and your future potential will begin to close. You won't have to go looking for success, health, or love. Those experiences will be drawn to you like a magnet because you are broadcasting the signal that they are already here. You have successfully bypassed the limitations of the analytical mind and rewritten the very blueprint of your subconscious. You are now standing at the beginning of a life that is no longer a repetition of the past, but a grand adventure into the unknown by the power of your own liberated mind.